You can make more money this year and still stay broke. That's the scary part. Because most people do not stay poor because they never earn money. They stay poor because they keep making the same money mistakes over and over again. And the worst part is, most of these mistakes feel normal. They look harmless. They look small. They even look deserved. A car payment, a few subscriptions, a little debt here, a little takeout there. But stack those habits together over 5, 10, or 20 years, and they quietly destroy your wealth. In this video, I'm going to break down 7 money mistakes that keep people poor, explain why they're so dangerous, and most importantly, show you what to do instead. Because once you see these mistakes clearly, you'll never look at money the same way again. Welcome to the Money Teacher Pro, where money finally makes sense. Before we get into the list, here's the big idea I want you to remember through this whole video. Poor thinking is short-term. Wealthy thinking is long-term. Poor thinking says, I have money today, so I'll spend it today. Wealthy thinking says, I have money today, so how can I make it work for me tomorrow? That one shift changes everything. And once you start thinking that way, you stop using money just to survive the week and start using money to build your future. Quick disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Now let's get into mistake number 1. The first money mistake keeping people poor is paying yourself last. This is one of the biggest traps in personal finance. Most people get paid and then immediately start spending. They pay rent, they pay bills, they pay subscriptions, they fund social plans. They buy whatever they feel like buying. And if there's anything left at the end of the month, that becomes savings. That is exactly backwards. If you only save what's left over, chances are there will never be much left over. Because spending expands to fill your income. That's why wealthy people do the opposite. They pay themselves first. The moment money comes in, they move a percentage of it into savings or investments before they do anything else, even if it's just 10%, even if it feels small, because that habit does 2 powerful things. First, it forces you to build discipline. Second, it guarantees that your future gets funded before your impulses do. So if you want to stop feeling like your money disappears every month, start here. Set up an automatic transfer the day you get paid. Treat it like a bill, not a suggestion, not a leftover, a bill. Because if you don't pay yourself first, you'll spend your whole life funding everyone else's business except your own future. Mistake number 2 is getting comfortable with bad debt. This one is everywhere. People are financing clothes, phones, furniture, vacations, random purchases they absolutely do not need. And because debt has become so normal, people stop seeing it as dangerous. But bad debt is one of the fastest ways to stay poor. Why? Because it steals your future income. Every payment you owe next month is money that can't go to savings, investing, building a business, or buying freedom. That's the real cost. And debt is sneaky because it makes expensive things feel affordable. You stop asking, how much does this cost? And you start asking, how much is the monthly payment? That question keeps people stuck for years. And once your life becomes a collection of monthly payments, your income no longer belongs to you. It belongs to lenders. Credit card companies love this. Financing companies love this. Banks love this. Because the more comfortable you become with debt, the more money they make. If you cannot afford something without debt, you should seriously question whether you can afford it at all. That one mindset shift can save you years of financial stress. Because bad debt doesn't just cost money, it kills momentum. And without momentum, wealth becomes almost impossible. Mistake number 3 is buying things to look rich instead of becoming rich. This is one of the most common money mistakes out there. And one of the most expensive. The classic example is the brand new car. Someone gets their first decent job, starts making real money, and immediately upgrades into a car they really cannot afford. It feels like success. It looks like success. But financially, it's often a disaster. A lot of people are driving around in status symbols while quietly killing their cash flow. That's the trap. Because wealth is not what people see. Wealth is what you keep. Wealth is savings. Wealth is investments. Wealth is low stress. Wealth is options. Wealth is freedom. A big car payment does not make you rich. It makes you look rich for a while. Then it quietly drains your money every month. And this problem goes way beyond cars. It's designer clothes, expensive electronics, luxury purchases, lifestyle upgrades you're making to impress people who are not paying your bills. Rich people think differently. They ask, how much is this really costing me? Not just today, but in future opportunity. Because every unnecessary expensive purchase is not just money spent, It is also money that could have been invested. And once you start thinking like that, flashy spending starts to lose its appeal. Mistake number 4 is lifestyle inflation. This is when your spending rises every time your income rises. You get a raise, and suddenly you need a nicer apartment, a better car, better clothes, more expensive habits, upgraded everything, and before long you're making more money than ever. But somehow you still feel broke. This is one of the biggest reasons people never build wealth, because income alone does not create freedom. Margin creates freedom. The gap between what you earn and what you spend, that's where wealth is built. If every raise gets turned into a lifestyle upgrade, you never build margin. You just become a more expensive version of broke. That's why some people making average incomes quietly build strong net worths, while others making far more still feel trapped. One person keeps expanding their lifestyle, the other keeps expanding their assets. So the next time your income goes up, do not immediately ask, what can I upgrade? Ask, what percentage of this can I save, invest, or use to strengthen my future? That is the better question, because if your income rises but your habits stay bad, your financial life doesn't really improve. You just get nicer problems. Mistake number 5 is not knowing where your money is actually going. This sounds basic, but it's a huge deal. A lot of people say they want to be better with money, but they have no clue where their money goes each month. They don't track it. They don't review it. They don't measure it. And if you don't know where your money is going, you cannot control it. That's just reality. You need to know, how much do you actually earn? How much do you actually spend? What is fixed? What is optional? What is waste? Because money leaks are rarely dramatic. They're usually quiet. Subscriptions you forgot about, convenience spending, impulse buys, small habits that seem harmless until you add them up. And that is the key. You need to see your money in black and white. Because once you do, it becomes much harder to lie to yourself. That awareness creates action, and action creates change. Most people don't need a more complicated financial plan. They need more honesty, because clarity is where control begins. Mistake number 6 is waiting too long to invest. This is a massive one. A lot of people think they need to know everything before they start investing. Or they think they need more money, or they tell themselves they'll start later. But later is expensive. Time is one of the most powerful factors in building wealth. The earlier you start, the less money you need to contribute later. Because compounding needs time, and every year you delay means your money has fewer years to grow. This does not mean you should invest recklessly. You still need a financial base first. Emergency fund, debt awareness, a plan. But once that base exists, sitting on the sidelines for too long becomes its own mistake. There will always be reasons not to start. The market feels high. The economy feels uncertain. You don't know enough. You're waiting for the perfect moment. But most people don't miss wealth because they made one terrible investment. They miss wealth because they never got started. And that is a painful mistake, because money invested later has to work much harder to catch up. Mistake number 7 is constantly choosing convenience over control. This is where a lot of money quietly disappears. Fast food. Convenience store spending. Coffee every day. Streaming services you barely use. Rent-to-own products. Extended warranties. Impulse purchases because they feel easy in the moment. None of these feels like the reason someone stays poor. That's why they're dangerous. Because no single purchase looks catastrophic. But repeated for years, they destroy your ability to save and invest. Convenience is expensive. Not just financially, but mentally. Because it trains you to choose easy now over better later. And that mindset spreads into everything. Food, debt, spending, planning, habits. Wealth is often built by people who are willing to be a little uncomfortable now in exchange for a much better future later. That means planning ahead, making coffee at home, buying used when it makes sense, owning fewer things, being more intentional. Control builds wealth. Convenience usually costs it. Now here's what all 7 of these mistakes have in common. They are all forms of short-term thinking. That's the real pattern. Paying yourself last is short-term. Bad debt is short-term. Buying things to look rich is short-term. Lifestyle inflation is short-term. Ignoring your numbers is short-term. Waiting too long to invest is short-term. Choosing convenience over control is short-term. Wealth, on the other hand, is built through long-term thinking. That means asking better questions. Not, can I afford this today? But, what is this costing my future? Not, how can I enjoy more right now? But, how can I create more freedom later? That is the shift. And once that shift happens, you stop using money to impress people and start using money to protect your future. That's when everything starts to change. Because real wealth is not built by one giant lucky move. It's built by smaller smart decisions repeated over and over again. So here's your challenge. Do not try to fix everything at once. Just start with one. Look at these 7 money mistakes and ask yourself, which one is hurting me the most right now? Then cut it, or reduce it, or replace it with a better habit, and take the money you save and redirect it into something that builds your future. Your emergency fund, debt payoff, savings, or investing. Because every dollar you stop wasting is a dollar you can put back to work. And that is how your life changes. Not overnight, not through luck, not through hype, but through small, smart decisions repeated consistently. If this video helped you, subscribe for more content about investing, personal finance, and building wealth the smart way. And in the comments, tell me, which of these 7 money mistakes do you think hurts people the most? I'll see you in the next video.